Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to this session, Behind the Scenes of AI, Shaping the Deep Tech Ecosystem for Impact. I'm very happy to be here and to give you a quick intro to this one-hour session. We have lots of interesting speakers who are going to tell us about their work on AI and deep tech in LMICs, low and middle income countries. This is our main focus for this discussion, and impact, of course. My name is Daniele Tricarico. I'm the head of emerging tech at the GSMA, Mobile for Development, the GSMA Foundation. Before we start, let me give you a little bit of an introduction around Mobile for Development. So Mobile for Development is about driving innovation in digital technologies to reduce inequalities in the world. As I mentioned, we focused on Africa, emerging APAC in particular. We work with the private sector. We work with MNOs, mobile network operators. We startups, so the private sector are large, really, and development partners. We have a strategic partnership with the FCDO, the UK government, the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office of the UK government. And what we do, really, we support scalable, impactful, and commercially sustainable digital innovations in LMICs that are obviously enabled by mobile. In terms of our areas of work, you probably heard already before from us in M4D, digital inclusion is a big area of focus, of course, addressing the usage gap. We do lots of work on handset affordability, for example, in LMICs. Financial inclusion, of course, is an area where we've been active for many years with our mobile money program, digital financial services. Climate resilience, using mobile phones, mobile technology to support communities, to increase resilience, and to support climate action. And humanitarian response. This is also another big area of focus for our team in M4D. And now we're adding a new one, which we're calling emerging technologies. This is a new pillar, really, of our work on digital development. We're launching a program called Emerging Tech, and AI is certainly at the center of what we do. We have been working and really observing developments in AI for the past few years. It is really everywhere, as you can see here in this event. What we've seen is obviously MNOs are becoming more AI-centered. They're shifting to AI-driven business models, but also startups, innovators. We work with startups. They're also adopting AI. AI is becoming a great driver for scale, for innovation, but also to scale business models and solutions. We've been spending quite a bit of time understanding the opportunity, the landscape. There are challenges, of course, in LMICs when it comes to data, skills, compute. Think about GPUs. Having enough GPUs in LMICs is challenging. They're costly. So we're really trying to support the ecosystem. And data is a huge challenge. Think about generative AI, local language models, which are absolutely needed, right, to drive innovation in local languages in LMICs. Today, we came across a very interesting stats during our research. Today, if you look at the totality of content on the internet, content in African languages is only 0.1% of all the content on the internet. So this just tells you the size of the challenge when it comes to developing local language models and therefore Gen AI innovations in LMICs. So we are, as GSMA, as M4D, supporting innovators with developing scalable solutions using AI across multiple use cases. We are very focused, obviously, on impact at the last mile. So think about innovations with agri-tech, precision agriculture, using data-generating technologies, because really the data piece is absolutely crucial. You can't have AI without data. So we're keen to leverage data, such as data from IoT, satellites, drones, computer vision, in conjunction with AI to really drive innovation. And to do this, we are launching an innovation fund. So we have a new emerging tech program, but also a new innovation fund on impactful AI. And we are supporting innovations, startups, with grant funding, with technical assistance. The idea is really to de-risk innovation, support scalable solutions. We're keen, of course, to document learnings. We're just starting. We're accepting applications till the 12th of March, and you have all this information on the QR code if you're a startup or if you know of startups who would like to apply and work with us over the coming years. We have a grant funding of between 100,000 and 250,000 UK pounds, plus technical assistance and support from the GSMA. But I just wanted to mention quickly one thing before moving into the core of our session and our discussion. As I mentioned before, we are focusing on innovations at the last mile. But to have innovations at the last mile, things like precision agriculture, for example, imagine using IoT and computer vision, allowing farmers to have precise advisory, data-driven advisory at the farm level in real time. You need data and you need AI. But you also need innovations at the ecosystem level, right? Or if it's other innovations, imagine edtech innovation. You want to use generative AI to provide personalized education material to students, to teachers in countries, in low resources contexts. You do need local language models. You need that innovation at the ecosystem level. And this is really the idea of this session, to also explore not just the innovations at the last mile, but also the innovation at the enabling environment. When it comes to local language models, natural language processing, NLP is very important as well. It's a space where we need innovations. Edge computing as well, pushing intelligence on devices closer to the users. This is really important in frugal or low context settings like in LMICs. So this is the agenda for today. I'm done with my remarks. We're going to move into an introduction with our operator, Dialogue Sri Lanka. And then we're going to move into a panel discussion, focus on Africa. We have 3 exciting startups from Nigeria, Kenya, and Ethiopia as well, telling us about their journey with AI. So without further delay, let me call to the stage Supun Veerasinghe, who's going to tell us about the MNO Dialogue Sri Lanka's journey with AI, and also your reflections on deep tech and what it means for you. Over to you, Supun.
Thank you, and good afternoon to all of you. From Sri Lanka. I'm not sure that you know where Sri Lanka is. A little below India, a small island nation with 20 million people. Dialogue is part of the Asiata Group, a regional telecommunications provider spanning south and southeast of Asia. I'll take you through key experiences in terms of how we see AI and how we have brought in AI into our business, into our sustainability practices, and to the larger network operations. When you look at AI, the impact of AI, I think it's estimated that if you do it right, you can at minimum get about 5 to 7% percentage point uplift in EBITDA, about 20 to 40% uplift in valuation premiums. Because I think yesterday I saw Chairman of Bharat Airtel saying the telecommunications industry needs a reset. And in that context, AI plays a very pivotal role in enabling that new telecommunications industry, the communications ICT industry that we want to create for the next decade. The Arthur D. Little says that the key areas of opportunity in telecommunications is on customer service and network operations. And instead of trying to boil the ocean, we need to look at what are the priority areas that you can start getting results. We have identified marketing, customer support as one big area, business as another area, and then network operations as the third area. Because it's common tendency to try and do AI in everywhere, but it's very important to maintain focus so that you can deliver business results and then you can show impact and outcomes to your stakeholders so that you can get more investments behind AI, because otherwise it can become just another fad, and then you waste a lot of time and money without achieving anything. In terms of this transformational challenge, at our organization, I say that AI first. This year, I have 3 pillars in terms of focus: delivering business results, and driving winning the must-win battles, and the third area is creating the future. Under creating future, we have said that we are going to create an organization which is AI first. However, it is easier said than done. You cannot simply create an AI first organization if you don't have the right foundations at the bottom in terms of data infrastructure, the data platforms, making sure your data governance is proper, and the other ecosystem elements that are in place. So what we see is that the data layer plays a very big role in this entire AI journey. If you don't get data layer proper, data definitions, data quality, and the governance around data, then you cannot really make the best impact out of AI. Then working with partners, the hyperscalers, is very important, because as telcos we know certain areas of or we have certain areas of expertise, we have data, but the processing capability is not with us, and that's where you need to collaborate and bring that global scale to support our local operations, and then bringing the right tools and the platforms. What we see is that in order to create this data first, AI first organization, we have to empower everyone with AI tools and skills. So we have done we in the process of training everyone on prompt engineering. When we did the first program, there were more than 300 staff signing up for this. Dialog is an organization with 1,400 staff. Immediately there were 300 staff signing up. We had to close the applications because the program was getting too crowded. And that's the kind of interest that we see among staff. And then we have now got them to create prompts and applications. So one prompt that the enterprise team has created was to read the tender documents that the government publishes for their tenders. Because reading a tender document is a very cumbersome task. So the enterprise sales team has now created AI prompt and made that task easier. So AI for all requires that training of everyone, onboarding everyone into the ecosystem. In operations, it will drive speed and scale. I'll give you some examples of how it helps network operations, business operations, driving speed and scale. It also enables segment of one experience. You cannot deliver customer experience on a mass scale going forward. You have to bring in that segment of one, and AI enables that. And then for M2D, mobile for development, to make a larger impact with a lower cost, AI makes a very big impact. In terms of the roadmap, we had predictive intelligence, we have operational optimization, and now we are looking at bringing more large language models, specialized tools, and then also agentic AI in our operations. Couple of use cases from the network, using network data for network optimization, so that you don't need to visit the sites, or you don't need to do these cumbersome optimizations manually, but collecting the current network data and then getting the model to predict the best configurations. Again, it improves speed, improves the efficiency of the network operations team. The second use case is on preventing power leakage. Looking at using the power consumption at the base station, using data models to identify where the power consumption is not optimal and identifying leakage and then correcting it. Then we have also cut down our network operations center by more than 50% in terms of resources. We have moved the entire NOC virtual now. The ticket generation has been given to machines. They contact the field agents. They also have AI agents who go and fix the network, and thereby significantly improving the efficiency in the overall network operations and driving productivity. The other initiative is with Meta in terms of optimizing and based on user experience. So we combine our customer data, our experience data, along with the data from Meta on their Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp application behaviors. Combining the two, we are able to then bring in further optimizations. On WhatsApp, for example, we have reduced the bad quality calls by 5%, improved the good quality calls again by 5%. A significant improvement that we have seen in early implementations of this model. Then AI for marketing, something that we can easily adopt. We started with simple image generation. Now we also do full TV commercials through AI. Reduces the time to market, and also reduces the cost. Something that easily can be adopted and readily available. Not only creating images, but also you can have multiple renditions of your brand ambassadors. Getting a brand ambassador for a commercial is a time-consuming task. But once you have the brand ambassador, you can create the AI avatar of that and then use commercials or renditions through that. Similarly, on business, CVM, customer value management, we used to be one-to-many. Now we have made one-to-one, from offer generation, communication, selecting the right medium, right time to communicate, right messaging, all that bringing in AI. In terms of impact, it is more than 10x. One simple example is last year, Dialog's overall revenue growth on prepaid was 27% year-on-year revenue growth. So I'm sure that gives an indication in a declining or stagnant industry, if you can get 20+% growth in your core revenues, powered by market corrections as well as using technology properly. The other one is using AI for health tech. Telemedicine is a challenging area, trying to give telemedicine remotely. But the health scan feature that we have enabled on our health app enables the user to look at or take a selfie scan, we call it, hold the phone on your face, and it captures all the vitals, including your blood pressure, your heart rates, BMI indicators, and identify the critical vital variations so that the doctor can prescribe medication. Then AI in customer care, both for agentic support, supporting our agents, as well as direct customer support. This one is on, I think we spoke about using agri-tech, and Dialog was one of the early adopters of GSMA funds assistance on agri-tech. That was a IVR-based solution which we launched about 7-8 years ago. Today, we are able to bring AI into that. The first generation of agri-tech was giving the farmer a call, automated call every day saying that, did you do this? This is what you do, should you do today? But we have brought in AI into that, and we have created an app where the farmer can now talk to the agent, which is an AI agent, saying, I have this problem with my crop, what should I do? And all this is local language, not English, and not also text. Because here we can make a massive impact on the consumer in terms of improving the impact through technology and impact through AI. So overall, what we are seeing is that it is important to embrace it. It is important to collaborate rather than trying to think that you can develop everything on your own, but also do the fundamentals right, especially the data layer, and bringing in the capabilities of the external partners, the startup ecosystem into your platforms so that you can create something powerful to the communities. With that, I'll end and be available for Q&A and during the fireside chat. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Supun. We can take a seat for the fireside chat. Yeah. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Eugénie. I'm part of the GSMA Mobile for Development. I'm an Insights Manager with the Central Insights Unit. So really glad to be here. Thank you so much, Supun, for this presentation, for telling us a bit more about your work around AI. It's really interesting to see the range of use cases that Dialog has been working on. Both internally, I think some of the use cases that you mentioned were for the mobile operator, network efficiency, energy management. But you also have a few use cases for impact, as the one that you mentioned in agriculture and healthcare as well. So I'm wondering, and you also mentioned these different elements. But I'm wondering how you see, we often see some gaps in terms of the AI fundamentals, so data access, skills, talent development, but also talent retention, and compute. So I'm wondering, how do you see these different elements, playing in a country like Sri Lanka, and what does that mean for dialogue as well?
Yeah, I think it's not an easy task per se. Dialogue being the market leader and having access to a larger resource pool helps. However, it's important to, as I earlier mentioned, not try to boil the ocean. Set the fundamentals right. Make sure that you have proper framework around data governance. Because if you don't have clean data, if you don't have your data quality defined, if you don't have your data dictionary, if you don't have your definitions on your data, the output that you are going to get is not going to be consistent. So the data layer is very important. Then adopting cloud, moving into hyperscalers, it's again critical. Without that, you cannot really make a larger impact and move faster. Then investing on the right talent. I remember when we started our digital transformation in 2017, we had a chief officer who was mandated full-time as the digital transformation officer. Once we got stabilized, once we progressed in that journey, by around 2021, 2022, we let go of that position. We basically made sure that everyone's responsibility is to drive digital transformation. Then around 2022, when AI was becoming a predominant driver of change and organization success, we created a special role for a chief officer who is in charge of analytics and AI. We hired a PhD in terms of having AI expertise to build awareness, train our people, and drive the organization, because we otherwise won't have that expertise. So investing on the right resources is important, and putting money behind that skill development is important. And then thereafter attracting the right people, because once you have the thought leader in the country working with you, driving your AI roadmap, it is very easy to attract good talent from universities, because they also believe that this organization believes in AI. He also not only helps Dialogue, but also helps Sri Lanka's AI roadmap. He's chairing the National AI Roadmap Steering Committee, helping the country as well. So you have to put money where the mouth is. Make sure that you get the right resources, support them with development, training, and make sure that the fundamentals of the organization is set in place in terms of governance.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. Thinking about inclusive AI, some of the use cases that you mentioned, specifically the one on agriculture, a lot of these solutions are accessible for users through mobile devices. But I'm wondering, for accessibility, what role can a mobile operator like Dialog play in terms of ensuring that AI-enabled solutions are accessible to all different segments of the population?
Yeah, I think this challenge is twofold, I would say. One is try to make solutions accessible, but also to build awareness and capacity amongst the public. So if I take the first part, Dialog has a strong developer ecosystem. We call it Idea Mart, with over 10,000 developers on our API platforms, which they develop apps. So now we have started developing those developers or training those developers on AI, and then making sure that they could bring in the applications on with the support of the APIs that we have opened up. Then we have also started putting about 100 AI labs in schools, training the next generation on AI and giving them the relevant hands-on experience on how to make use of AI. Because without training the next generation, you cannot really drive AI. And then in terms of even AI compute demand, we are not getting AI compute demand from large enterprises. We are getting compute demand from universities. University is asking, can you get me GPUs? And we need to enable the universities and school ecosystem so that the children take interest and are driving AI. We have also created a national innovation challenge where they are developing applications and then participating in a national level competition. Move at the final stage, it is like a Shark Tank or reality TV program where they come on public TV on the #1 channel of the country and try and present their concepts and get exposure. So it is an overarching program, building capacity on the ground, giving them exposure, facilities, and resources. The other part is around accessibility for devices and applications. Here, the biggest challenge is affordability. In order to break this barrier, we have created a handset installment program where you can pay about 30 to 40%. If handset is $100, you can pay $30 and take the device. And we have, I think so far we have given close to about $40 million worth of devices through this program. So it's very mature program, and the NPL or the default rates are under 5%. We use our credit scoring, which again, AI plays a big role in terms of making sure our credit scoring is accurate and have accurate credit scores to give handsets on installment so that these customers can move in their value chain, getting a handset upgrade so that they can make use of these newer technologies.
Yeah, that's really good to know. And as you're saying, I think cost of handsets is one of the main challenges in terms of mobile ownership. Also seeing from the insight that you shared that partnerships seem to play quite a big role. You mentioned that you were quite strong on data collection, but that you're working with other organizations for things like data processing and maybe more on the infrastructure side of things. So what, maybe really briefly, what role do partnerships play more broadly in your strategy and for AI deployment as well at scale?
Yeah, I think there we go by this myth, or try to break the myth of not invented here syndrome. Because as large telcos, we always have believed that everything has to be invented inside. And what comes out is not the right thing. Everything has to be created. So we try to first break that myth on NIH, not invented here, because then you are open to partnerships. The second principle is fail fast. A partner might bring something. If you don't try, you wouldn't know what you are missing out. And then if you take again months for evaluation, you have lost the battle already. Trying fast, adapting quickly, failing fast is very important. And then embracing collaboration as a way forward in AI, because there's so much that individually one can achieve. You need to benefit from global as well as local expertise. Trying to do it on your own is a recipe for disaster, I would say.
Thank you so much, Supin. I think we're going to move to the panel discussion. So yeah, thanks again for your time and sharing your insights. So I'll introduce Ibrahim and yeah, our panelists who are taking it from here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Ibrahim Sajid. I work with the GSMA and the M4D team as well. I'm super excited to be here. We have got a very rich panel of startups across Africa. I would like to introduce this amazing panel to you. We've got Bethlehem Desi, who is the founder and the CEO of ICOG. ICOG works in technology education and also in entrepreneurship. We have got Michael Ogandare. Michael is the founder and CEO of Crop to Cash from Nigeria. Crop to Cash is also one of our GSMA Innovation Fund grantees. and they are doing some amazing work in agri-tech. And then we've got Mutembe Karaoke. Mutembe represents FastTagger. He's the co-founder and CEO of FastTagger. FastTagger works on AI on edge devices. So I would like the panel to introduce themselves. Mutembe, from you, please.
Thank you, Ibrahim. And good afternoon to everyone. Today has been a good morning in Spain where there's sun. I was really missing some sun from Nairobi. But yeah, as Ibrahim mentioned, my name is Mutembe Karaoke, co-founder and CEO of FastTagger. We are purely focused on AI inclusion and creating infrastructure that can help to run ML and AI models on edge devices, particularly smartphones. So for us, the technical challenge has been how do you build, compression, models or pruning models, techniques so that you can actually create, like an infrastructure where others can actually be able to take, a small language model, for example, like Phi-3, and quantize it and compress it to be able to run on a low-level, probably sub-$100 smartphone, especially the ones that are in Africa, which are mostly not the iPhone. That's a bit obvious, but actually a lot, Chinese manufactured phones that I think have 6% of the market. And I think for me, we decided to focus on a problem that is really local to the reality. So growing up, my parents ran small and medium enterprises. That's about 50% of the African GDP. That's $1 trillion, right? That these small and medium enterprises contribute. And I myself was the one who was in charge of, putting the data together, taking all the receipts and reconciliation. And that was a very, very tiresome job because it was paper-based. And so later on, I got opportunities and I got to travel to Japan, and I did my master's in computer science and really focused on data and development. And when I came back, the problem is still there. Like in Africa, still a lot of these small and medium enterprises, they say there are about 100 million small and medium enterprises in Africa, still have the same problem, like paper-based, trying to reconcile that data, while the rest of the world has gone on software. But where was the opportunity that I saw? We saw that the opportunities that a lot of these small and medium enterprises are using mobile money now, right? Mobile money, a lot of that transaction, all the data is coming onto their device, or they're getting statements from the mobile company. And so what we decided with my co-founders is that how do we use now ML to enable them to extract information from this data, understand their customers, understand their businesses, and be able to increase sales from understanding their customers. And, talent-wise, my co-founding team, my co-founder, she's the head of data. She actually started here in Spain at IE, I think in Madrid, and she did big data and analytics there. So she started looking at this data and analyzing it and enabling to create a presentation from this small and medium enterprise that was very simple. And my other co-founder, he went to MIT and Georgia Tech and worked at Harvard on building data pipelines and that. And so we were felt very fortunate that we've had all this global experience. How do we now turn ML to run on this business's devices? So one thing that we realized through that whole process is that we're thinking about AI, and while people were solving very fancy problems outside there, in the US, pictures of cats, which is really good. But we decided to really focus on very local problems, and using all these talents that we had is just solving for that small business, being able to extract data from those PDF statements, run an ML model, and then connect it as a RAG on top of that data and give a business assistant to that small and medium enterprises running on a device, because most of them don't have internet, or internet in Africa still, especially mobile internet, still ends up being one of the most expensive, allowing them to actually run it, on the edge on their device and only connecting to the internet once in a while, or with reducing their costs for that. And we saw that's an opportunity for a lot of telcos to actually increase stickiness of using mobile money by these small and medium businesses. And then for the small businesses, they'll grow and continue using mobile money. And right now, I think GSMA in 2014 say that mobile money transacted about $1.4 trillion globally, and about 80% of that was in Africa. So if you can actually drive more of that, that's more value to the telco. It's growing small and medium enterprises and growing the African GDP.
Thank you. Thank you. That was very, very interesting. I think that work really resonates with the session today as well. Michael, would you briefly talk about the work that you're doing with Crop to Cash?
Yeah, sure. I'm Michael. I lead the team at Crop to Cash, and from Nigeria, we make it very easy for smallholder farmers to get access to digital financial services and high quality inputs, and then on top of that, higher quality advisory. Now, how we actually got started into AI is very interesting. We leverage USSD technology to create a sort of mobile money system for farmers to make sure they can purchase products, fertilizers, seeds, and every other really good things that will make it a lot easier for them to increase their productivity and income. And then we started working with the GSMA to leverage this same technology to make it easy for farmers to get access to climate smart inputs. And that turned out to become a very interesting situation for us, where we needed to also train farmers on how to use this climate smart inputs. And that then exposed a very interesting gap for us, which is, why do I have to do this? The people that should be doing this training should be agronomists or extension agents, and the ideal ratio of an agronomist to farmers in Africa should be 1 agent to 50. But in Africa today, there's a huge gap, and the current reality is 1 agent is working about 10,000 farmers. That's a very huge gap. So it's a really big problem. Trying to figure out a way to close that. Can you train human extension agents fast enough to close that gap in order to make a lot more farmers climate resilient? The answer is most probably no. So we then need to figure out a way to leverage AI to close that gap. So what we then turned out to do, which is quite similar to what you're doing in Sri Lanka, is to leverage voice technology and to build an AI-powered extension agent that pretty much just any farmer can access via phone call. So they can, farmers in Nigeria today can call a toll-free number that we've developed with the GSMA, and they can, talk to their own personalized extension agent that knows who they are, that knows the crops they're growing, that knows the techniques, their practices, the inputs they're using, and can give them actionable advisory in real time in their local language. And because it's an AI agent, it does not sleep, it does not slumber, it doesn't take the weekend off. And this has proven to be very, very transformative to the farmers that are using it today. For us at Crop to Cash, we're working with nearly 500,000 farmers in Nigeria today. Recently just launched in Kenya late last year, and we're looking to expand to 10 more African countries, basically just leveraging AI to scale this fast. And the fact that we can make local languages work with artificial intelligence for smaller farmers in places where they don't even have internet connectivity. Think how ChatGPT's advanced voice mode works for you, on your phone. We're pretty much bringing that same power to smaller farmers in their rural communities where they don't even have smartphones or they don't have internet connectivity. But as long as you can make a phone call, you can get access to the highest quality, latest agricultural advisory. And yeah, it's very interesting, and super happy to share more with everyone later today.
Thank you so much, Michael. With us, Betty or Bethlehem works majorly towards skill development and education, and her work has been really empowering because they have been training around 30,000 odd students. So I'd like you to please tell us more about that.
Thank you. My name is Bethlehem Dese. I am from Ethiopia. Our company, ICOG, has actually been working in AI for almost the past 8 years. Our affiliate, ICOG Labs, has been working in the AI industry for the past 12, providing services for companies like Hershey Chocolate, Sony Music, and the infamous Sophia the robot. So ICOG Labs has been working in the AI scene for a while before, AI started being very cool. But one of the biggest challenges that we faced while we were providing these services for these companies was talent, right? Talent was one of the biggest gaps that we had, and we started an initiative called ICOG Anyone Can Code, which was to empower young people in Ethiopia, but also encourage them to pursue careers in AI. And we've been doing that for the past 8 years. So one of, it has also been mentioned in the presentation, but also in the discussions earlier, there are foundations to make sure that AI is reaching, the communities that that have been mentioned. And one of it is, of course, talent, having the right talent to develop the products. Another is compute, which we are not working on, but also another one is data. So we've seen a lot of gaps in terms of data, and the panelists here have also mentioned it, but in the case of Ethiopia, it looks very different. So finding and accessing data on low resource languages, and Ethiopia has over 80 plus languages, and it's over 120 million people. So as you can imagine, it's a huge population and a huge reach. So we've also started on tackling the problem of data through crowdsourcing data, language data, through a platform called Layu, which I'll explain more about hopefully in the follow-up questions.
Perfect. I think you've already prepared my segue to that question. We were talking about Leo earlier as the platform you are working on for making sure that low-resource languages are not left low-resourced, and you're working towards a more AI-inclusive view. Can you talk to us a little bit more about how you are doing this work, at the same time creating an enabling environment for people to contribute? How do you make sure that you are able to get good quality data from crowdsourcing in local languages, which generally people would have to take out time and invest their time to provide that data?
So, as you know, majority of the models that are running right now are trained basically on data that you find online. And this data is created by people who speak that language. And it has been mentioned at the beginning where a lot of the data that's created or the content available on the internet, the data created on African languages is less than 0.01%, right? So, which means a lot of the the users in this case, or the people creating the content, are not online and they don't have access to these tools. So we have to be proactive about how we collect the data, but also be ethical on how we collect the data. Majority of the data that's being collected is copyrighted by someone else, owned by someone else, even though most of these AI tools claim to be open source and free. They're actually collecting the data and utilizing it to make more money, while the people that have created the data are not being compensated for. So through our model, which is basically crowdsourcing these data sets, people that will be utilizing the AI tools that will be built on top of this data will also be able to contribute and benefit out of creating the data that they'll be using. And this is not a new model, actually. There is a company in India called Arya, which has utilized this and created more than 40,000 dignified jobs across India, but also powering, the AI revolution in India. So we're also very fortunate to partner with them to do something similar in Ethiopia, in which people will, you would get a task for, let's say, for example, $1 to read out a sentence. And then that data will be utilized to train large language models, automatic speech recognition models that will potentially be useful for some of the services that, for example, you have mentioned in terms of, supporting farmers or health extension workers or customer service in terms of telcos. So, yeah. Basically, that is the approach.
Thank you so much.
Taking.
That really helps build more context, and it gives us a better view of how you are making sure that the ecosystem is being developed by the people who are in the ecosystem. So that's like a really, really great insight for us. Mutembe, a question for you around the use case of AI on edge devices. We understand that you are right now working. You've been able to partner with an MNO, and you're trying to help them in terms of the mobile money situation. If you can talk a little bit more about that, and also share more details on how you see other use cases getting developed with AI on edge devices in low and middle income contexts.
Thank you, Ibrahim. I think one of the things that we always focused on is starting with a problem for a consumer. And in this case, we ended up partnering with Safaricom, partly owned by Vodafone. And they happen to be the largest mobile money, provider in the world, right? And I think almost 80% of the country in Kenya uses mobile money. And so we ended up, signing a partnership with them on how to actually deploy a model on their super app, which, currently their business super app has over 1 million downloads. And the way we were going to do it is like as an added value service to the small and medium enterprises. So they noticed while there was like a continuous growth in terms of use of mobile money across the country and across small and medium businesses, a lot of these small and medium enterprises still had a challenge with being able to, increase their revenue, understand with their customers, and work with the data. Previously, they had been offering a service where, using the app, and right now, I think they said there are about 625 million smartphones on the African continent. So that already tells you like there's a lot of people with smartphones, and, they've downloaded these apps. And, for the small businesses, what they do is they allow them to download a statement, and then the problem is like a lot of the small and medium enterprises don't have a lot of data savviness and knowing how to analyze this data, and so we built a tool using OCR and now going towards having a small language model where they can actually just upload this PDF data, extract all the important information, show them who their customers are, how much each customer is contributing to them, so that they know that if a customer drops off, I'm actually losing this amount of revenue. They start knowing how loyal the customers are, because they know how often they're coming in. And the model now would be like they can have a conversational interaction as having a business assistant that can tell them, oh, this person is about to drop off. These are the strategies you could come up with. And so we also see other opportunities with edge machine learning and AI. So if you think about, a veterinary officer in the periphery, how can they have a model that runs on their device locally, and they can take an image of an eye of a cow and then be able to tell, okay, could be the possible disease that's happening. And then you open it up to other use cases in healthcare, even for humans, being able to triage people. And so there's the opportunity now for edge now opens up to, a myriad of sectors, manufacturing, and a lot of other spaces.
Thank you, Mutembe. Michael, now you've been informed by both our other ecosystem enablers and the work that you do. We were talking about this earlier as well, that it's not possible to do everything yourself. So you need to find those right partnerships. In terms of working at the last mile, solving these complex problems for farmers in terms of financial inclusivity, input supplies, and developing more tools for them. How do you see the ecosystem shaping in Africa in terms of local startups working on deep tech solutions and not just last mile solutions? And do you see a partnership opportunity from the continent?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I'm already thinking about how I can get your custom version of 5.3. Do you use 5.3? 4 now. Oh, nice, awesome. Yeah, we can get that on one of our apps for our agents. But yes, what's happening in the African ecosystem with respect to AI is incredible. A lot of the local language translation models that we use. We initially actually even started off building out our own speech generation models at first, and then we realized if we wanted to go deeper into this would take us way beyond our core focus itself. And then we started discovering other startups and other young people actually building the solutions and putting it all together. And now it makes it a lot easier for you to say if you want to actually build a specific product powered by AI for the African continent at least, or for LMICs, the solutions or the building blocks or the pieces actually exist today, from the ASR models to small language models that you can put together and put into devices with low RAMs or low processing units. There's so many things that can happen now, and in our case, that's exactly what's happening with our products, where smaller farmers can now just make a phone call, and from a phone call on a device that doesn't have internet connectivity or doesn't have that's not a smartphone, a device that isn't smart at all, they can actually get the best form of intelligence streamed directly into their ears, and they can actually interact with it. For our farmers today, our farmers are spending nearly 20 minutes on average every single day talking to their own personalized AI extension agent. And how that works is they get back home from the farms, and late in the evening they call the number, put it on speaker, and they just, sit down on the table, like sit down with the phone on the table and just start talking to it. Sometimes they argue with the AI, say, yeah, no, I disagree with this. And then, we've trained the AI to be a lot more responsive around, things like that. And, the farmers come back the next day to say, oh, yes, you told me this yesterday, but, here's what I noticed. And then the AI, is automatically responding to it. And when you think about it with respect to, the profile of customers that you have, and even for the telcos too, most of the time the profile that everyone have of their customer base is a static profile. You know what their names are, you know where they are, you know what they do, but you don't know how that is changing. But with AI today, and especially as the customers interact with AI, the everyday interaction can give you, newer updates into the profile of the customer. You can know whether they've ventured into a new line of business or not, and how you can better support them. And just that dynamism is important to growing the entire economy itself.
Perfect. I was just thinking when you were talking about the work, and it really shows that all three of you, mobile technology is like a core part in terms of making sure that the solutions that you are developing are accessible. People can contribute. People can benefit, from the AI model through the use of it in terms of accessibility, and from your end as well, in terms of AI on edge devices is also an AI inclusive piece. This is a question to all of you. I would like to ask that how do you see what other areas of collaborations or partnership models with mobile network operators can support you achieve bigger scale, deeper impact? Starting with you, Bethlehem.
Mobile network operators play a huge role because we can only reach as much as they have reached in terms of our contributors, in terms of access to devices, device financing, and also network coverage, and even through the mobile money in terms of banking, not banking, but also having mobile wallets for people to get paid for their contribution. So there are layers to how much these MNOs can contribute, but unless that is the foundational element for us in terms of crowdsourcing the data and also distributing the services that will be built on top of the data that we'll be building. So they are a crucial component, and without collaboration, I don't think we can get these AI tools to these communities faster and in a pace that is going to be aligned with the speed of change that's happening throughout the world.
Would you like to add something?
Yeah, I think, mobile network operators are super important to the progress and the changes that will happen. Before, I think the conversation was around how MNOs used to be very close and very secretive with the data that they have, but I'm happy to start seeing that, a lot of things are they're more open with the data access now, working with the AI companies to, develop better models that will, of course, now improve their own businesses too. And end of the day, if we're, sticking with the theme of where we are right now, which is 4 years from now, what do we want to see? And it's that, the MNOs being as open as possible with the technology and the investments that they're making, which would then, create the right sort of foundation layer for the services and, players like us to develop further on top of that to reach the underserved, to reach the last mile. So 4 years from now, I want to see faster, models in tens of millions of devices. We want, tens of millions of farmers getting the latest advisory through Crop to Cash on their phones. And of course, you two have created multiple jobs, developing or, training the models that everybody's using in Africa.
Otembe, do you have any thoughts on this?
A small, I'll continue the trend of 4 years from now. But I think 4 years now, I would like to see MNOs in Africa, and globally, particularly in Africa, be like 2 or 3x their size because of how they were able to adopt AI, and particularly how they were able to adopt, now there'll probably be a billion phones on the continent, but how each and every one of these devices will actually be running very compressed or localized models for healthcare, for education, for financial inclusion, and a lot of these telcos will actually be providing added services because calls are going down, data usage needs to be the one that's going up. But what kind of extra services that really connect with people can these MNOs be able to provide, and how can this partnership with like startups, such as the ones here, be able to actually push that, create more jobs? On the African continent, we're going to have about 2 billion plus people by 2050. How do you create more jobs by them being able to actually access intelligence on their devices?
Thank you so much. I know we are short on time, but I would like to open up for questions and answers. If anyone has any questions from our panel, please.
Hi, thank you so much for your comments. My name is Eunice. I'm a co-founder of Ishango, and we outsource data science projects from Europe to African talent. I have two questions. I think the first one is for Bethlehem and Mutembe. When we talk about, you mentioned there's 80 plus languages just in Ethiopia. In Uganda, where I'm from, it's over 50 languages. Is it really possible at the pace that AI is moving for us to really customize these solutions for all these languages? What do you think is really going to happen to that? I know, Mutembe, you mentioned the potential of sort of small language models, but do they give us that depth and nuance at the same rate? Or are we looking at this from the historical perspective of we know, LLMs take huge amounts of data to train, and do you see that, sort of shifting? So that's my first question. My second one is for you, Michael. I know in Africa we do a lot around relationships, right? Being able to look somebody in the eye, ask them, even though you see your extension agent once a year, you ask how his children are and he asks about yours. How are you seeing that relationship focus being, translated in these AI agents, and what's happening with that, and how are you adapting or trying to incorporate that? Thank you very much.
Would you like to take the question on languages?
Yeah. To be honest, I wouldn't say the perfect answer for that, because the speed of change is really hard to catch up with. But unless these languages are documented, unless they're recorded, unless they're organized and kept, there's no other way around it. It's either this or waiting for the communities to be connected to the internet and for them to start creating the data and train on top of that, which I think will take even a much longer time. So, for example, our goal is to collect 50,000 hours of data in the next 2 years, and this is across just 5 languages, right? And this is basic languages, and on top of that, you'd have sector-specific data sets like in healthcare and agriculture. So the crowdsourcing approach is also supposed to solve the speed of things instead of, doing a more centralized approach in terms of collecting the data. But yeah, time is of the essence, and we're definitely very conscious about that and how long it's going to take. Yeah.
I think to your question, I think DeepSeek started answering that question of whether, the paradigm is going to shift. And I think it's already happening. I think we just need more DeepSeek moments in Africa as well. And I think if you look at Andrew Ning, it's like sort of one of the fathers of what's happening like in the tech space in AI. He actually said the next era is actually going to be the one of small language models. Can distill a lot of the knowledge from the larger language models and then have for very specific use cases, especially as we're moving to agentic AI, right? You need a specialist, model, not just, the general, and you can distill most of the knowledge from the larger language models.
And yeah, to answer your question around, personal relationships being super important, especially in the African context, I think in our case, one of the first things that we needed to figure out was, how do we make this, as relatable as possible to our customers, our farmers, and we needed to, make sure our AI at least, speaks in a sort of, African accent that it doesn't sound robotic. It's something that, that they can, relate to. And having that alone made it a lot easier for the farmers or that increased the adoption in our case. But when we then, also think about what the potential future is like, sure, relationships are, there's the human connection today, But we've started seeing some examples in other, economies where relationships are now, becoming digital, and we're having digital twins and all of that. I think that there is a chance to eventually leapfrog to that level, to the point where, as long as the benefits are like huge enough, then yeah, we're gonna see a lot of human-machine relationships starts developing, even on an agricultural or rural level.
Thank you. I think we have time for one last question, and then we have to wrap up. I've already been told.
Hello. I believe, all of you have mentioned talent as a key driver for development. And to what extent is it a problem that in your societies in the South, you train talent, and from the North, we take that talent? So is that a big problem? And how you can counteract or manage a local source of talent that could be sustainable?
Thank you for that question. I think Bethlehem is well placed to answer that, and she has a very good answer in the strategy that she's building. Over to you.
So just to give you some sort of context, majority, I would say 80%, 90% of the people that have actually come to work at our company are now abroad, working for other companies or doing remote jobs. So what we do is, at least every quarter, we bring in 100 interns into the company. And this is in collaboration with multiple universities across Ethiopia. And from 100 of those young people, maybe we will have 1 or 2 joining the company and continuing to work within the company. So one, it starts with the quality of the talent that's coming out of the universities, which takes us a lot of investment to train. And once we train them, in terms of the demand that is available, and because of the rise of remote jobs, we lose a lot of these young people. So also why we started initially to actually train young people, starting from primary school to universities, is to increase the talent pool that we have to choose from, because we are actually in competition with other companies trying to hire for AI talent. So just to give you a bit of a perspective on that.
So quick reply to that, and I see you're wearing a Kenyan bracelet, so it's good to see that. I just, one answer. We need more capital for African startups, because you're competing in a global talent pool, and you cannot restrict like migration and movement of talent to where it's needed. So more capital for African startups, plain.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us today for this session. I hope it has been as insightful for you as it has been for us. Please enjoy the rest of your MWC experience. Thank you. You guys are so cool.